Perfectionism has been my mortal enemy ever since early childhood. And it's something I've had to overcome, especially in my teen years, but even now in my adult years. But I really have to remember that perfectionism is the opposite of good. And I think often people think perfectionism manifests in, oh, this thing needs to be slightly more correct, or just finishing touches, etc., etc. But often it is the inability to decide and make a decision on things because it never quite fits this standard in your head that is always moving. And ultimately this can be projected onto yourself, and this goal and standard constantly moves continuously. So what I have to do, and maybe other people have to do, is kind of practice challenging this. Sometimes I just have to let things look bad. Like putting up some artwork that's kind of shoddily put up, but it's up and it's there and it's done, is better than it not being done. And this doesn't have to be the final outcome either, it's just up. It's about like not deeping things too much as well. And what is the worst that could happen if something isn't perfect or you don't get the most perfect result from it. And I think for the past few years I've actually learned the kind of beauty of things not being perfect and how much more interesting they are for not being perfect. I'm not sure if there is truly a thing that's perfect, but if it was or close, it's a bit boring. It lacks a journey, and I think we need dimension. I think that sounds so stupid, but the perfect imperfect. You don't even have to listen to me. So many philosophers and creatives have said this, from like Aristotle and the Golden Mean, which is about not being in extreme. And I honestly think life is about balance. And I do believe if you swing one way, you swing the other quite severely. So it's about finding that middle ground, and sometimes accepting things just have to be good or good enough rather than perfect. I've actually taken on this advice for the past few days, even weeks, but for this days to unfuck my life situation. I'm trying to be more process oriented, and I usually am now. Actually really celebrating the outcome of things that you don't expect, or kind of being happy with things. They might have not been what you're expecting, but because they're not what you're expecting doesn't mean it's bad. I'm trying to not project outcomes onto things and trying to learn to let go of what could be. I mean, it's good to have a general idea of what you're doing, but it's just like letting go and allowing things to just develop. Because the things that develop sometimes are like often better than the initial ideas you've had in your head. This can apply to life or just like making or creativity. But as humans, we think we know, or we think our initial ideas are probably the better ones. The sort of absolutism, and again, like sort of black and white thinking of the perfectionism. But in actuality, sometimes chance knows you better than we do, you know? Playing with chance, I'd say. I think that's the best way to overcome perfectionism. And I mean playing with chance lightly, don't not take contraception and then get knocked up. I don't mean that.